What is a good song?
I think a good song is just like a good player. A good song will take you somewhere, take you on a journey.
Mm-hmm.
It's you kind of lose consciousness of where you're at and just go where the song wants to take you.
Mm-hmm.
Like I was just listening to that, I got chills several times.
Yeah.
And then with lyrics, and you can get these visuals that go along with it too.
Mm-hmm. And Vicki?
I just always get this vision of you crawling off to sleep in the bath. It just seems very uncomfortable.
The whole point of the song, yeah. I agree with Jennifer. A song takes you somewhere, and I come from my roots as a singer-songwriter. Do you understand this genre? Yeah. So, playing the guitar, singing the songs with lyrics, and there's a lot of focus in this genre of music on the lyric and on the storytelling. And I think it's wonderful when you can tell a story with lyrics, but I think it's a trap to always feel that you have to have a lyric, and even a trap to feel that your lyric has to tell a coherent story. I think that's a beautiful art form, and I think there's endless possibility for using the voice or not using the voice, and just telling a story in a non-conventional way, without an A, B, C, A, B section. So I understand the formats, and I think those are great forms to work with, but I also really believe that a song can be very hard to contain in a form.
Mm-hmm. Who's the first person to hear your newest songs?
My best friend, who's very critical. It's very dangerous to play things too early.
And when he's very critical, what do you do?
I kick him out.
My partner, my significant other.
Yeah. When you're writing songs or compositions, how do you recognize that the song or composition are finished, that it's enough?
I usually get to the point where I just can't take it anymore. I've heard it so many times, and I'm just done with it and ready for some fresh energy, which sometimes can take a hell of a long time. I mean, this last record took like 8 years.
8 years?
Yeah, partly because I was lazy, partly because I was flying around the world constantly and trying to come back home and get the momentum and pick up from where you left off. It can be very difficult.
Okay, Vicki?
Sometimes I need to ask a colleague, a fellow songwriter, is it done? Is it not done? Sometimes I need to get help with it. Sometimes you know, but sometimes you don't. And I've had songs take 3 years just to finish themselves. So.
Yeah, you kind of have to wait till it speaks to you.
Sometimes it really does take its own time.
When you're both together, or when you meet some other songwriters, do you talk about songwritings?
No.
No? Professional discussions?
Sometimes, but mostly we talk about iPods and
geeky stuff. I mean, that's interesting that you say that, because I spent 3 years with Beck, and we hardly ever talked about guitar. We talk about music and different performers and things, but we never sat down and, put your finger here and then put that finger there. Isn't that cool? It just never happened.
Who were your first idols when you started your careers?
Well, I like George Harrison of the Beatles because he had big eyebrows.
I was in the Monkey fan club.
Oh, no way.
The Monkeys, yeah.
I stole money to get into the Beatles fan club from my mother's purse. Because she said no, and I wasn't having it. And I felt guilty, and I've been in therapy ever since.
What have you learned from George Harrison?
To nip your eyebrows.
I mean, musically.
Or the lawnmower. Musically, gosh, you know, I was so young when I got into those, like 6 years old, 6, 7 years old. At that point, you don't even know what's hitting you. I mean, part of it is the look, the energy, the fact that the whole town is into it, joining the fan club, putting posters on the wall. It's a big ball, way beyond the song or way beyond the notes or chords. I still don't know what they're about.
What have you learned from your idols?
I don't really know who my idols were. I loved many different musics and musicians. Guitar-wise, you know, I listened to not so many guitarists, really. Leo Katke was one of the ones on my father's record collection. I realized that listening to some John McLaughlin recently, I realized that I did listen to some of that when I was young and taking in impressions. But when I was in college, I got turned on to Pat Metheny. And Pat Metheny really became an idol to me, not only for his playing, but for his compositions and for the way he would bring Brazilian music into his jazz, into pop jazz. His jazz singles were on the pop music charts, and I was just always blown away that he could find a way to bring these musics together. So I think he had a big effect on my sense of composing and my sense of dynamic and arranging a song. I don't know directly any other effects. I can't. It's very hard to know. You get, like she said, so many things come at you, and you take. I was a Jackson 5 fan when I was ABC. Was,
Talk about one.
1, 2, 3. Was like I wore this record out. And then James Taylor, Sweet Baby James. You know, I learned all my guitar folk music from this record. I learned every single James Taylor song, as well as he, on guitar. So I mean, it's many things just come.
Have you ever written a composition just because you felt a pain inside and you did want to get rid of it?
Most of the time.
Most of the time.
That's most of what why I write.
It is. I had this conversation with my father, who was a doctor, and very left brain. And I talked to him once about how music is such a healing force, and he knew it internally, but not externally. And he just didn't understand how I say music is healing. You know, because he's all about healing. Well, take this pill and cut this here. And but you feel a change. You definitely feel it. I think if they put probes on your head, you would see a chemical change from different audience members. The way they hear it, it would be all different patterns in your brain, and the people playing it is a whole different level too. Yeah. And everybody that plays, I think, knows that you can be transformed by it.
And is there any song of yours that you don't like or you don't want to play anymore for any reason?
I have a couple of songs that I feel need to be rewritten. About 2 years ago, I took an amazing songwriting class with a woman who is just a great, great talent in New York City. And I learned some things about my own writing. I learned some ways that I'm lazy in my own writing because we get used to doing the same thing and we easily can be a little lazy. And as a result of learning these things, I thought, you know what, this song was lazy. I have to work more on it. And this song, 2 songs, I feel that way. One of them I still perform live, and it goes over well live, but when I hear it on the music, I think, on the CD, I think, oh, I have to change that part. It's just not right. So I have a couple of those.